Hello, and welcome back to Financial Education. My name, as always, is Zach Collins, and today I want to tell you that I've had a bit of a change of mind recently. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to tell you that you need to be frugal and save every single dollar you earn. But if you've clicked on this video, you know that I'll probably be talking about different ways to save money. Before we get into that, for those that don't know me, what is my background? I was a financial advisor in my past, fully licensed, fully FISA compliant, specializing in super and non-super investments. I'm not licensed anymore, but I'd love to get my license back one day. I chose to leave the industry as I couldn't stand the owner of the business, and his firm was very heavy in sales. I've got no interest in sales. Look, it's not all sales, but my passion is to help people. It's not to sell various managed funds or insurance products. These days, I work in tax and compliance. So, what is this change of mind that I'm referencing? So, previously, and I'm talking to the best part of the last, say, 5 years, I've been buying lunch every single day at work. Shock, am I right? Look, it's not that bad, but it does seem to add up. I was going to this place quite regularly. It's pretty decent in terms of pricing. $10 gets you a meal. Now, one meal out is fine. The issue for me is it was every single day. So I was spending $10 on lunch per day. Plus, also in your office, you generally go out and go, buy a coffee with the lads. Now, and that's creeping up as well. So you can't get a coffee for under $6 in Canberra. It's absolutely depressing, that it's so expensive. Given I used to work in the office 4 days a week, luckily I managed to cut that back this year. And, due to my change in my son's daycare, I now only work 2 days. But 4 days of $10 of lunch and $6 of coffee adds up to $64 per week. When you factor that in over the course of a year, 48 weeks of lunch and coffee, the office is $3,072 per year. That's actually quite a lot. Obviously, I still need to eat and I need to get my caffeine hit too. So, how much does it cost replacing all of that with homemade alternatives? Let's start with coffee. So, I've started buying instant coffee and it is horrendous. Uh, Although, if I'm being honest, the cafe ones, they don't really seem to be that great either. Look, don't get me wrong, I've had some great, amazing coffees. And I always envision that every time I go and buy that, it'll be a great experience. But more often than not, it's not. So, I'm disappointed with the quality, and instant, it's not that much worse. I've managed to work out, the schedule of which, what brands that I like are on special. And so, I always buy the containers at, half price, which is perfect. Each one costs me about $6 and I can get 2 weeks out of it. So that makes it about 50 cents per coffee instead of $6 per coffee. I've done black coffee and I'm not a fan. Milk is about $1.50 and that lasts a week. So that means, my weekly spend on coffee has dropped from $24 down to $4.50. That's a $19.50 savings in my pocket, or about $936 per year. Now, this $900, it's not going to make me rich. I'm not cutting back on my spending because that's how I'm going to be a millionaire. It's just another step on the journey to financial independence. This $900 I'm saving is worth around $14,000 in 10 years' time if it was invested straight in the market. Now, $14 as well is not life changing, but $14,000 using the 4% rule gives me a yearly income of $560. That's $560 I don't need to earn myself. It's a couple of extra days per year that I can fund my lifestyle without needing to work those days. What about the lunches? Now, again, I'm not a massive fan of the food that I make, but I can tolerate it. I've gotten into a role with the sort of curries that I make. Each curry gets me about, say, 6 servings for a total cost of around $25. Let's be generous and say it's $30 on average of $5 per meal. That's a $5 savings over that cheap $10 meal that I was buying every day. We had a second regular that we went to, and that was a $15 per meal. So that's a $10 saving on that one. But we'll just stick to the assumption that I'm getting Indo every day. So that $5 per meal saving is another $960 per year saving, or in 10 years' time, it's another $560 in annual income for eternity. By reducing my expenses on lunch and coffee, I've started to build myself a nest egg that will pay me back forever. In 10 years' time, that annual combined income will be about $1,100 a year, which is around 2% of the income that I believe I will need in retirement. I'm on track to be able to fund that, 100% pretty easily. However, it's always good to have a buffer. I would much prefer to be able to have 102% of my income goal than 95%. That is just step one. There are so many other ways that you can save money, and it shouldn't have an impact on your quality of life, which is the important thing. If you have a mortgage, call them up, ask for them to review your rate. If you've just come off a fixed rate, chances are you'll be on a higher rate than the standard that they offer. Even a 0.5% discount on, say, $1 million in mortgage is $5,000 per year. I try and do this roughly every 18 months or so. I've seen some people online say they do it more regularly, but I'm a bit too lazy to do that. Also, check if they can revalue your LVR. Normally, they have a different pricing based on the level of LVR. And so, if you can get your home revalued via their desktop and say drops from 80% to 70 or 60%, they'll likely give you one of the best rates that they offer. Last year, I changed my mobile phone provider. I was previously with Vodafone, but now I'm using the Woolies mobile. This is not a sponsored ad. I don't do sponsors. Uh, Not that anyone wants to sponsor me anyway. But Woolies uses the Telstra network, which means there's coverage basically all across Australia. Great coverage. Plus, they give me 10% off one shop per month. So it costs me $40 per month for the phone plan. They give me 10% discount because I'm on their rewards program, so it's actually cost me $36. Plus, I get 10% off a shop a month, which generally can be anywhere from $150 to $250. So that's a $15 to $25 saving essentially off my phone plan every single month, bringing it down to, let's say, $20 per month or less. That is pretty cheap if you ask me. I know a lot of people are on these expensive contracts for data that they don't need or they don't want. I used to pay $60 when I was with Vodafone. That's a $40 per month saving, which is $480 per year, which again stacks on top of every other saving. Just like with the mortgage, check if there was a better utility provider. The power you get doesn't change. It's fungible. 1 kWh is 1 kWh no matter who sells it to you. So if you can find someone that'll do it cheaper, no reason not to jump. The final thing I want to say around cost saving is something that only applies to a portion of people, those with kids. This one is saving money on your children's schooling. The first and most obvious way to save money is when you look at the difference between public and private schools. There are a lot of reasons why you might send your kids to a private school. Maybe you went there. Maybe they have a lot of friends that plan to go there. Maybe you want them to get a specific religious education. Whatever it may be, you need to factor in the cost. In Canberra, I can't speak for all jurisdictions, but our public education is fantastic. When it comes to the top performers in the ATAR, there is no difference between the public or private schools. They all perform similarly in that it comes down to the student themselves, not the school they went to. A lot of these lower tier private schools are charged between $5,000 and $10,000 a year for the education of your child. Now, the top tier, they're looking at closer to $20,000 to $30,000 a year. If the quality of the education is what is important to you, you find that you are overspending by going private as it makes no detectable difference. When it comes to my son, he's just started preschool this year, and that is a massive saving as it is 2 days of school for free, which we were previously paying daycare for. Plus, we've also moved him to a new, cheaper daycare, and that's all before the rebates. So we were previously paying $165 per day in daycare, and that's now dropped to $130 per day. That is a $35 per day saving. At 2 days of daycare on top of his, the preschool, that's a daycare saving of $70 for those 2 days, plus a further $330 per week saving from the preschool instead of daycare. And look, that's all pre the rebates from the government, but that's about $400 per week saving, which will end up easily being $200 per week after the rebate, or close to $10,000 a year. There is always options. Look around for those options that are similar in quality, but just lower in price. Look for the weekly half price specials at your local Coles or Woolies. Grab those savings with both hands. We're all living through this cost of living crisis. Best of luck to you guys. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you a better understanding of some different ways that you can save some money. If you've got any more questions, please feel free to drop a comment below and I'll answer if I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.